Hello and welcome to All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. I am truly delighted to have as my guest today Pastor Lawrence VanHook. Pastor VanHook, welcome to All About Community.
Wow, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah,
I love
you
this.
may not be excited by the time I get through with you. Oh, I'm just joking.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Let's chat for a few minutes about your background. Where did you grow up?
I'm actually born Brookside Hospital in Richmond, California.
Oh, in Richmond, all right.
It's no longer there, but
all right. I remember Brookside. Sure do.
Brookside. My mother was the baby girl at that time of 13 children, and
13, wow.
as sharecroppers and as informally trained as our family was supposed to be, somewhere there was a vote that the baby had to go home to take care of the parents.
Oh, okay.
So my mother was the baby girl at that time, so we had to pack up from Richmond and leave and go to East Texas.
East Texas.
Queen City, Texas.
All
22
right.
miles away from Texarkana. 9
Texarkana,
miles
Arkansas?
Texarkana, Texas.
Well, that's
That's
right.
same thing.
Same
It's
thing.
really the same thing.
I was born and raised in Arkansas, so you should have known I would know that.
Same thing, and 9 miles away from Atlanta, down Highway 59 in Cass County. And there I got a chance to go to school. I was there in '68 when they first integrated blacks and whites in the public school system. Really tough time for us, but we were able to make it through that season, and then end up after my grandparents, both of them passed away in 6 months of each other. We decided that we would move back to California. So I had a chance to get the city life and go to the country where there was no running water, Jim Crow at its best, and as a young person, just never forgot the impacts that it had on me. Then we moved finally back to California.
Back to Richmond or Oakland?
Actually, my dad was the pastor, and so he had a church in Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had to move to Stockton, California, in that area, and I ended up finishing school there. Left there and went to undergrad at Bishop College in Dallas, Texas,
Oh, yeah.
HBCU.
That's great college.
And absolutely, and then came back and to go to grad school at UC Berkeley, and wasn't able to complete there because I didn't know that I wasn't in charge. And so then we actually was able to finish and then go and do my post-grad work at United in Ohio.
Oh, great.
And so that's kind of how I got back to California. Then actually stayed in the Bay Area. Had a fellowship to go to school in Virginia and other places like in Princeton, but ended up staying here. So that's kind of how I
So
arrived.
your dad was a minister. I was about to, how did
I'm
you get involved in the ministry? So, I mean, it was like
Well,
in your genes.
Yeah, it was in my genes, but if the truth be told, and I didn't particularly have a good relationship with my father growing up, so I didn't like ministers nor ministry. And so I wanted to be anything other than a minister. So I tried to negotiate with God at a real early age that I would do his work without that stuff that I witnessed in my father, in his way of doing ministry, what was not helpful. And I probably, I did not know it, but I have 5 brothers, and a lot of times my father would tell me I had to stay home and watch my mother. And so that resentment and all that stuff kept building up. And so I wanted to help the people, but I didn't want to be like him.
But something happened,
Yeah.
obviously, that got you into the ministry. My father, by the way, was a minister, Church of God in Christ. But there must have been something that installed you and brought you into the ministry?
Well, as even when I was in high school, I had gotten my call. Even in high school, I was
When
on
you
my
say
way
call, what do you mean? A lot of people don't understand.
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry. So I felt the inward desire and the urge to begin to share something that was greater and bigger than me that would help people begin to make conscious decisions about a supernatural power that was bigger and more translucent or bigger in its capacity. And it just began to wear on me. So I started preaching publicly at age 16.
Age 16?
Yes, yes, yes. And so I was able to preach in high school. I didn't want to announce the calling, but as in the church, the traditional church, something got a hold of me.
And something got a hold of me. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go to break, but we will be right back with Pastor Lawrence VanHook.
Wow, wow.
All about community. My name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. Don't touch that remote. Put it down. We'll be right back.
Many families are struggling in Oakland today. I've been there. I was raised in the Acorn Housing Projects by a single mom. She worked 3 jobs to get us out. Today, the restaurant I started provides jobs and second chances to formerly incarcerated people. The nonprofits I serve create opportunity for our youth. On the City Council, I'll bring Oakland together to finally address our biggest challenges. I'm Derek Johnson. Let's meet this moment together.
In 2020, I think East Oakland deserves more. I think we deserve to stop walking in disbelief. I think we deserve to put an end to the grief that arises when someone says I can, but they don't, or they won't. It is way past time for change, and that change starts with her. Oakland deserves Treva.
Hi, I'm Treva Reed. I am fighting to move East Oakland forward for all of us.
Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. When we went to break, Pastor Lawrence VanHook was talking a little bit about when he first started preaching. And can you imagine? I bet you he was just preaching. So tell us just a little bit about that, and then we're going to move on to something else, because that has to be a moving experience.
Yeah, It was a tough night. If I can be as transparent as I can,
Absolutely.
My father was on the road preacher, coming and going, and I really had to begin to grow up. And I wasn't that little boy no more. I was, in my mind, a grown man at 14, 15. I left home early and was coming in and out, but so was he. And at 16, I got the urge and the call and began to speak, and from my tradition, the Holy Spirit came over me, and my first sermon was actually to my mother and father while they was arguing, fussing, and fighting. Then I was pretty aggressive. I was a gang leader. I was everything non-church, non-tradition, very edgy, still a little edgy today. But don't tell nobody about it. Then I finished school. I finished high school, had a 4-year ride to play basketball, but because I was deemed uncoachable, I lost my my scholarship, and I then began to look at going to college, not because I wanted education, because there was nobody who had been a role model of education before me. So I ended up going to college, trying to make some sense of a failed career that I didn't have in basketball. So I was going to be a walk-on. But because of my calling, now I'm all of a sudden in this cross where my calling became bigger than anything else. So I ended up going to Bishop College in Dallas, Texas, which is a school that's noted to put out great preachers and leaders. But because I had no idea what education really was, and again, I have a whole bunch of secrets, so you can't tell anybody, but I was on academic probation every other semester.
Well, I mean, a lot of us were.
Because I kept going to the school telling the teachers, listen, I know more than you. And so that probably the reason why I didn't get to go play basketball, because they deemed me that I was going to take over the basketball team. And so I had a pretty good career in high school.
Now, you all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but ultimately you became the pastor of your church.
Community church, yes.
Community
Yes.
church. Now tell me, what does it mean when in the church we talk about social justice?
Yes. Yes.
To you, what does that mean to you?
So because I have some formal training, I can frame it from a historical perspective because there has to be bedrock. Social justice literally is about the total sum of all experiences, and your hermeneutic, big word I learned, your cultural particularisms will speak through your homiletics, how you view,
Boy, that's heavy.
how you see the scriptures. So we all see the scriptures from a perspective. That's called your homiletics. That's your bedrock. But your cultural particularisms is how the lens in which you view the scriptures through. That's what formal training helps you to do. And that's the reason why it's so very important that you understand that social justice is the consciousness of the total experience of the people where you live, work, and worship. And there was an inequity in what I saw in others as opposed to what I saw for my community. And so even before I was a boy preacher, I was a social justice activist, even as a gang leader of teenage kids. And so I had no idea that my trajectory was on the path all the time. I just didn't know it. I just didn't know.
So leadership has been one of your strong points, obviously, since you were, in your own words, a gang leader. Now tell me, how has that evolved into your commitment, for example, with the NAACP? I understand you're on the executive committee, is that correct?
Yes. Be honest, when I was getting ready to go to college, I was impacted by the NAACP because I was an AXO winner. I won first place as an AXO winner.
Now, what did you do to win first place?
Oh, man, I was doing speech and debate. I did a dramatic interpretation.
Oh, great.
And I was able to use that. And, man, I got a little scholarship. And I never forgot that to this very day.
That's because of the preaching.
And I owe the NAACP. I owe the people because when I didn't know how to invest in myself, other people have invested in me.
And you're also involved in the 100 Black Men, is that correct?
I am the co-chair of the membership committee for the 100 Black Men, very involved. My reason for being involved in the 100 Black Men, because I've now have softened up a little bit, gotten a little older and a little wiser, I recognize that one can put 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. If I can just be biblical narrative. One horse can pull, I think, 8,000, but two can pull 32,000 pounds. And so I discovered as a group we can go further if we are together. And so I want to spend my life trying to get people as community. Dr. Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community. And we have to find out how to pool our resources together and begin to work and use each other's strengths so that we can make the difference.
Together, we can go far.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go together, go, if you want to go fast, go along. If you want to go far, let's go together.
Let's go together.
And I had to learn that.
And with that, we're going to have to take a break. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back with All About Community. When I say don't touch that dial, I mean don't touch that remote. We will be right back. All About Community.
Rebecca Kaplan puts progressive values in action.
We have a responsibility to stand together in solidarity.
For those who are breathing toxic air every day, we will continue to work together to strengthen our efforts.
Join us and vote Rebecca Kaplan for Oakland City Council.
On November 3rd, East Oakland will make a critical choice. Your vote is about saving the Oakland we love. Shortages of affordable housing, homelessness, blight, and safety. And because we're at a crossroad, we need change. We need leadership that is responsive to the people. Marcy Hodge will see us through the challenges and fight for our district. Do your part, and she'll do hers.
I'm Marcy Hodge, your candidate for Oakland City Council District 7. Let's save Oakland together.
For over 50 years of my life, I've stood for others, protecting them and advocating for change. I devoted 3 years, 11 months, 24 days, and 13 hours to the military for our country. And as of today, 36 years as pastor and founder of the Axville Gospel Church, helping many around the world. I've experienced many opportunities to promote change and foster change in our community. I've conquered building affordable housing, founding and leading job training and life skills programs for former inmates, and founding the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. For many years, I've worked diligently, leading, working side by side, supporting other leaders, and keeping my word to earn respect in our community. It is long past time for parity in city resources. During this time of unprecedented healthcare and economic crisis, District 7 needs a trusted leader with a vision and a plan to truly deliver for our community. As your elected council member, I will make sure District 7 gets the attention and resources from City Hall that are necessary to bring good jobs, support local businesses, make housing more affordable, and improve the health and safety of our streets. I believe my experience and record of real achievement make me the candidate best suited to meet these challenges. Now more than ever, East Oakland needs leadership that can be trusted. Vote Robert Bob Jackson for City Council District 7. Leadership you can trust.
Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. When we went to break, again, I was talking with Pastor Lawrence VanHook, and we were talking about together, working together. But I want to shift a little bit to your teaching at Peralta College, adjunct professor. What do you teach?
I teach this semester. I'm teaching the prison industrial complex, mass incarceration. I'm trying to empower students to know, and for our community to know, that we've got approximately 6,600 men in San Quentin prison right here, but 60-something% is African in descent. And that's not by accident, that's by design. And so I teach all the history courses and I teach career development as my course subjects in the what we call the secular colleges. I teach quite a few different subjects when it comes to religious instruction, Old Testament, New Testament, those things. And because of my doctoral dissertation, I'm what you call an urbanologist. I'm supposed to be able to go into communities of urban cores and look at the disparities and be able to describe antidotes of how we can empower people to do different, even though they sometimes have no idea what's going on. And so that's what I'm teaching this semester. But I teach all of the African American courses and history courses and career development opportunities.
Now, I view that as part of civic engagement. How important is civic engagement? Your teaching at the college is obviously civic engagement. How important is that?
It's so very important because most of us don't have a knowledge base of how program does not solve our policy, our issues, but policy does. We respond to most of our crises in our communities based upon programs. when the policy helps to put the crises in motion. And there is not enough money that we can actually get from the government and other places that can solve our crises, and the policies make us fight each other for the money to help the people where we need to help, but the policy is against us. So civic engagement forces us to do the down and dirty work of policy change. And that's no easy task. And that's what's the reason why it's so difficult. So I'm a community organizer, I'm a life coach. I mean, I've got so many things, but this is the work that I do on a daily basis.
Now, on policy change, let's just shift to, for example, the Oakland City Council, where policy is developed. How important is engaging with the Oakland City Council or selecting people for the Oakland City Council? How important is that?
So it's so very, very important because, first of all, we have to understand that we send a representative from our different districts and areas, whether it be for our districts in Oakland, California, or for the county, or for the state, or for the federal government.
Right.
And so the representatives that we send to our city seats, they legislate potholes. They legislate.
I wish they could legislate them out of existence because my street's just full of potholes.
They legislate the lighting in our community. They legislate the things that impact us where we live, work, and worship. And it is so very important that we rally our cause, because only for the most part the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Well,
what I mean by that is those who holler the loudest, those who make the show, those who show up in city council meetings, those who engage their representatives in our city. That is just so paramount. And if we don't feel that we're represented, then we miss out on influencing the people where we live, work, and worship.
Which brings me to a point, I really want your perspective on. What does it mean to you, the old phrase, God help those who help themselves?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because it's so very important that we ask ourselves, if you don't participate in the process, should you get the reward? There's a whole bunch of us, especially in the African descent community, have fought, blood, teared, marched, but people have benefited and feel that they have a right. And so, to me, we must be engaged. We must be. My church is engaged. And I don't have a church where you spend a lot of time looking for miracles. No, we're going to create our miracles. We're going to engage ourselves in the process. We're going to be a part of the system, both good, bad, and indifferent. It's because of our involvement and engagement. That's what really makes the difference.
Well, Pastor VanHook, you made a good point. We're going to create our miracle. A lot of people don't understand that, but we do have to go to break. Don't touch that remote. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host.
In 2020, I think East Oakland deserves more. I think we deserve to stop walking in disbelief. I think we deserve to put an end to the grief that arises when someone says I can, but they don't, or they won't. It's way past time for change, and that change starts with her. Oakland deserves Treva.
Hi, I'm Treva Reed. I am fighting to move East Oakland forward for all of us.
To better manage traffic on 880, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission has converted the carpool lanes to express lanes between Oakland and Milpitas, giving solo drivers the option to pay a toll to use the lanes and ensuring that all users, including carpoolers and buses, get a reliably faster trip. Learn more about the 880 Express Lanes at expresslanes.511.org.
Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. I get choked up just talking with Pastor VanHook, who is such a dynamic individual, such an exciting pastor. Pastor, if a person, and I know we can't do it now, want to go to your church, but when the pandemic is over, where's your church located?
My church is located in West Oakland. In Dogtown is it's actually Clawson neighborhood, 1527 34th Street, Oakland, California. My website is ccc4c.org. You can actually listen to us now on our website or our YouTube channel, The Community Church. The telephone number is 510-594-2207. We broadcast live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. We do a Zoom call on Tuesdays so that we can interact with the public audience and they can ask questions about biblical narratives. On Wednesday, I do a broadcast that's about 30 minutes. Sometime I run to an hour, but don't tell nobody. But then on Sundays, our service starts at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we're able to broadcast from the church live. I'm so excited about all of the things that our church is doing. We actually give away hot meals on Wednesday to the homeless, the unsheltered in the West Oakland area. And for those of you who know that the homeless population in this area is primarily African American or African in descent. So we want to make sure that we feed hot meals for them on Wednesdays, and on Wednesdays also we do boxes of groceries. You can give us a call, shout out to us so that we can make sure that we help you. One of the exciting things that I'm doing now is, because I don't believe that people will be coming back to church, church will never be the same. I'm helping churches to build ADU housing on their campus. So I have a real estate license now that I'm doing both commercial and multifamily unit needs. And so I'm really excited. And so everything that I do is civic engagement, community development, and I want to spend the rest of my life doing that and making that happen. And so any kind of heavenly home you need, I got you. House, earthly home, you need some food, some bread from heaven, I got you. We need some bread on earth, but we definitely need to build capacity. And I don't know how much time I got, but let me just say this.
Go ahead.
You are a phenomenal example as a community leader. You've done so much and power drive the way. I wish I was as poised and as dignified. I'm a little rough around the edges. I get in trouble a lot of times. But one thing I do know, that God has a plan for my life, and I want to live it out, trying to make good on some of the blessings that He's blessed me with. I want to be a blessing to others. And so this has been phenomenal. And I wish I can do this again. You ain't heard a whole bunch of stuff. I ride Harley Davidsons and I do a whole bunch of stuff. So,
But you said something that's important, and that's you get in trouble. But as John Lewis would say, you get in
good trouble.
and really, we want to thank you for being our guest today on All About Community. Pastor Lawrence VanHook, an outstanding person right here in our Oakland community. My name is Robert L. Harris. This is All About Community. Remember, it is all about community. We're going to invite you to stay tuned for our second segment, where my person whom I will interview will be Jane Williams from State Farm Agency. So don't touch that dial. Don't even think about grabbing that remote. We will be right back with our second segment on All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and thank you, Pastor Lawrence VanHook, for being my guest.
Thank you. All About Community, my church name is the Community Church. That's what we all about. So that All About Community is what we're trying to live for. Thank you so much.
Very good.